Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Super Bowl champion who played for Steelers, Eagles facing 50 years in prison. Wendell Smallwood, a running back who spent time with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Philadelphia Eagles, might be spending a whole lot more time behind bars than he ever did playing football. According to multiple reports, the 30-year-old Smallwood has been charged with defrauding federal COVID-19 relief programs. He is reportedly facing charges of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and conspiracy to defraud the IRS. All three are felonies, and if he is found guilty, Smallwood could go to prison for up to 50 years. CBS Philadelphia reported that court documents said Smallwood applied for the COVID-19 economic injury disaster loans using defunct or recently registered businesses and claimed false business operations. He is also accused of submitting false information to the Paycheck Protection Program, per CBS. Smallwood is a native of Elkton, Maryland, and he played collegiately at West Virginia. He was selected in the 5th round, 153rd overall, by the Eagles in the 2016 draft. He played for Philadelphia through the 2018 season, helping it win Super Bowl 52. He played for Washington in 2019 and the Steelers in 2020. He spent time with the Jacksonville Jaguars and Washington, again, in 2021 before his career wrapped up. Smallwood ran for 956 yards in his career and caught 60 passes for 474 yards. He also had 401 yards. He scored 8 touchdowns in his career. Labriola on the loss to the Browns. It was a humbling experience all the way around. The Steelers were flying high after their 5th straight win. An 18-16 bar fight with the Ravens left them at 8-2 and a topic among the talking heads as a team in the mix for a top 2 seed in the AFC. They also knew what awaited them in Cleveland, because as the Steelers boarded their buses on Saturday for the short drive up the turnpike, among their baggage were 3 losses in their previous 4 trips to the shores of Lake Erie. And while the on-paper assessment showed the Steelers with an edge in every category based on the first 10 games of this regular season, a blowout was not in the forecast. The Browns still would need help from the Steelers, and it was provided in what ended up being a 24-19 loss on Thursday Night Football. The Browns were being quarterbacked by Jameis Winston after Deshaun Watson was forced to the injured reserve list, and Winston had been in the league long enough to have a reputation. The first overall pick of the 2015 NFL Draft by Tampa Bay, Winston was a starter from day one for the Buccaneers. During his 5 seasons there, Winston led the NFL in attempts, yards, and interceptions, while also throwing at least 19 touchdown passes in each of those seasons. In a word, he was a gunslinger. But the thing about gunslingers is they end up getting shot. In 101 regular season games, Winston threw 102 interceptions and taken 207 sacks. Probably figure on 400 hits on the quarterback to go along with those sacks and interceptions. Winston had developed a pattern. Always a tough guy, but if pressured, Winston would take sacks and make mistakes with the football. In a loss to the Chargers on November 3, he took 6 sacks and threw 3 interceptions under consistent pressure. But the previous week, he put up 335 yards and 3 touchdowns passes in a win over the Ravens because they let him off the hook by dropping a couple of interceptions. The individual matchups the Steelers needed to win to put necessary pressure on Winston all seemed to be in their favor. The Browns' starting left tackle was on IR, and the next man up had been ruled out of this game with a knee injury. Their starting left tackle became Germain Ifedi, a journeyman who had been with 5 teams since being a number 1 pick by Seattle in 2016, and their starting right tackle was Jack Conklin, another former number 1 pick who had been on and off IR and PUP 5 times since November 2021. That the Steelers ended up with 1 sack and 6 hits on Winston while he passed for 219 yards, including completions of 29, 26, 24, and 18 yards, and 1 touchdown is statistical evidence their pass rush was not what needed it to be. The situation was just as grim when the Steelers had the football. Twice they went for it on 4th and short, and they lost yardage both times. Their rushing total of 120 was enhanced by one 30-yard dash down the sideline by Justin Fields. And the Browns' pass rush sacked Russell Wilson 4 times and hit him 9 times, with Myles Garrett going off for 3 sacks and a forced fumble in the first half. Garrett won coming off edge, and once he started on the edge and looped into the middle before coming in clean for his 3rd sack. And to some degree, the Steelers had themselves to blame, because having 12 of their 34 rushing attempts end up as no gain or minus yardage put them in the multiple one-dimensional passing situations that teed up Garrett. Even on completed passes for chunks of yardage, Wilson took some shots from a defensive front that looked to be getting the better of the play. In the early stages of the game, the Steelers were party to a sequence of events that gave the 2-8 Browns hope and allowed their confidence to grow. Their first 2 offensive possessions ended with a missed field goal and then a turnover on downs when they lost yardage on 4th and 2. After the Steelers took a 3-0 lead on a 48-yard field goal, the Browns responded with a 12-play, 80-yard touchdown drive, and then Garrett followed with his strip sack 2 plays later, which made it a 10-3 deficit when Dustin Hopkins cashed in the turnover with a 34-yard field goal. Steelers LB Elandon Roberts leaves game with injury. Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker Elandon Roberts took a blow to the head on a goal line play in the 4th quarter of Thursday night's game against the Cleveland Browns. Roberts was slow to get up and was assisted off the field by the team's medical staff. It's unclear of what injury Roberts suffered. Roberts did not go into the blue medical tent and was standing on the sideline with his helmet, so it appears he's okay. 2 plays later, Browns quarterback Jameis Winston scrambled for a 2-yard touchdown to enhance the Browns' lead. Winston also connected to tight end David Njoku to make it an 18-6 game. Roberts was the second Steelers player to leave Thursday night's game with an injury. Wide receiver Van Jefferson left with a quad injury. Jefferson was injured on a 4-yard reception, which wound up 2 yards shy of a first down. He was upended on a tackle by the Browns' Rooney Hickman. Jefferson returned and caught a 35-yard pass from Russell Wilson to set up a 28-yard Chris Boswell field goal in the 3rd quarter, which cut Cleveland's lead to 10-6. Linebacker Elandon Roberts was confident that the defense could stop the Browns on a short week. So far, it's been a lackluster performance against Cleveland. "We're just out here playing team defense," Roberts said. "We're able to cause havoc any given Sunday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, whatever day the game falls on." Pittsburgh Steelers linebackers Elandon Roberts and Peyton Wilson celebrate against the Baltimore Ravens on November 17, 2024. Ed Thompson/Steelers. Now the Steelers escaped Sunday's 18-16 win over the Baltimore Ravens relatively healthy, as nose tackle Keanu Benton, knee, was the only player to leave the game with an injury. Cornerback Joey Porter Jr. left the game twice due to a shin contusion but returned both times. Benton and Porter were both healthy for Thursday night's game. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Elandon? Leave your opinion in the comments.